Hello, welcome back to Refit and Sail, and as you can see I'm not in a boatyard, which is rather nice. I am in a very, very sunny and rather lovely Malta. I'm in a place called Valletta. This is a very, very nice 45-foot Grand Soleil, and a friend of mine has asked me if I'd be kind enough to move it to Greece, and I thought for about a nanosecond and said yes, I'll be very happy to move your boat. So that's what this episode is all about. Stay tuned for some actual sailing on Refit and Sail. You see, it says it there, sail, refit and sail. And we might even be doing some reefing, so reef it and sail, maybe. Sorry, dad joke there. Stay tuned. Here you are, folks, a different view of my face, and I'll just do a 360 so you can see what's going on behind me. I'm in the port of Valletta. It's a very, very lovely place. We flew out here, I say we, I'll introduce the crew in a minute. Flew out here on Wednesday, it's now Friday, so Thursday was day for shopping and a little bit of sightseeing. This is not a channel that covers off sort of visiting lots of lovely places. There are plenty of sailing channels that do that, but if you get a chance, it has to be said, Malta is a super beautiful place with lots of lovely old buildings. We did a lovely walk around. I'm going to try and cut some video into this little bit I'm talking to so you can see some of the sights of Malta. It really is an absolutely stunning island, and I'm hoping that I can come back here another time and maybe spend a week and do a bit more exploring. But anyway, I am on a Grand Soleil 45. It is a absolutely lovely performance cruiser. Myself and two friends are going to be sailing this boat over to Greece. It's about 350 miles as the crow flies. I think looking at the weather, it's going to be a mixture of reaching and running and using the engine, unfortunately, but it's probably going to take somewhere between 2¼ and 2 3/4 days is my kind of guess. It really depends how much wind we get on the way. Without my face in the way, you can see quick 360. This is Grand Harbour Marina, I think it's called, and you can see plenty of boats, lots of lovely buildings, and here is the boat I'm on, and there we are, looking aft, and we've got another bimini we need to put up in a minute. Do another little circle around. There's a maritime museum over there. I've not had a chance to look at that, but it looks quite interesting. Lots of lovely restaurants. Basically all we've done since we've been here is eat and buy food for a passage and do a bit of sightseeing, but mostly we have been doing an awful lot of eating. So in terms of passage planning, there isn't really a lot to it. Have a look at the wind. It's pretty much a straight line course. We're going to be passing to the south of Sicily. We did consider possibly stopping in at Sicily for a night. It's about 60 miles up to Sicily from here, which is an option, but I think if we can, we're just going to push on because we won't have time to explore or go ashore or do anything like that, because we've all got flights back home, unfortunately. So it's just a quick trip out, a sail and a trip back to work. I will introduce you to the guys very shortly. We'll just take a little walk down to the business end of the boat, if you like. Here we are, leaving the cover on the table for the moment. Got the bimini up. It's got some solar panels on the top of the bimini to keep our batteries charged. We've got plenty of food in the fridge to keep our personal batteries charged. Nice big wheel in the cockpit. Well, we are just about ready to go. I've just shown the lads how to start the engine and do all those sort of useful things, and we've been putting the bimini on at the forward end of the cockpit, and the radio is on and the electronics are all on, so the owner will be able to see us on AIS and track us as we go across. So quickly introduce you to Jamie, who you have met before. Jamie is the owner of Lotte. He's a Contessa 32 owner. He's done a bit of sailing with me on my boat as well, and my other crew is behind me here. Here is my very long-standing sailing mate called Mark Anstey. Hello, Mark.
Good morning, George. How are you doing?
Are you enjoying the heat?
It's hot, hot, hot. But yeah.
Mark lives in Scotland, so he's not entirely acclimatised to this Mediterranean weather. So he's been putting on the fact 50 and being a very good boy. Anyway, we are just about ready to go. So I'm going to just do some final checks and unplug the power line, because occasionally you see boats leaving marinas and they leave their shore power cable attached, and it doesn't normally go well. So we'll do all that stuff and we will be on our way. Do you want to let the bow line off, please, Jamie? You can pull that all the way through. Okay, Mark. Thank you. Right, I am in gear. Right, let's go and do some sailing. God, it's a bit of a tight turn. Well, that's us out of the marina. So we're just going to bimble up here. In a minute, I've got a VHF call the VTS, the port control, just to request permission to depart the port itself and to request permission to leave the marina. So I did that. We left and no one died. So that's always a good start. I've got this superb restored fortification on the right hand side here, and it really is a beautiful place, Valletta. If you're looking for somewhere to visit, I'm going to be coming back here. I'm very confident. It's rather lovely. It's even got a nice collection of super yachts, if that's your thing, over there. And we've got the Gozo ferry just heading out over there as well. Spoken to the VTS. We'll let them go first because we've got to fit through. You can see there's a very small gap there through the breakwater, so we need to fit through that teeny tiny little gap. Go easy with those electric winches. If it snags at anything, stop and look rather than keep winding. Well, folks, there we go. We have both a mainsail and a genoa up. We have a Jamie just hiding from the sun, texting his girlfriend, saying "I love you, bye bye." And we have Mark here enjoying the sunshine. How's it going, Marky boy?
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. I have already lost one microphone over the side, so that was a good start. There's not a lot of wind, but as there is some wind at the moment, we are doing somewhere between kind of 3.5 and 4.5 knots. We just thought we'd have the engine off for a bit and try and just have a little play with the sails, even if we end up having to kind of motor. There is the island of Malta behind us, and the sea is looking very, very inviting at the moment. And I think it's time for a cup of tea. Tea, Mark?
Tea?
Tea. I think tea and maybe a few crisps and biscuits would be a very nice thing to start the voyage with. And I'll see if I can do something with these sails. Unfortunately, I can't make any more wind. There we go, folks, a civilised dinner. Whilst we are underway, we are under engine. The sun is kind of setting over there. It is, I'm guessing, what, 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock-ish local. Sicily is up there, 7:30. I've just got mobile phone signal, which is unexpected, but I guess we're close enough. There are ships around, one's just passed, and all is well. It is dinner time though, and the boys are scoffing, so I'm going to go and join them.
Bon appetit.
Well, folks, it is 8:15. The sun has just gone down behind me, so I thought I'd just give you a quick update before it gets too dark. Our watch system started around lunchtime today, actually, because we've all had a little bit of shut-eye just to prepare ourselves for the first night at sea, which is generally a good idea. It's quite hard to sleep with the noise of the engine, and it's very warm down below, but because it's so flat. We've had the hatches, certainly for the aft cabins, open, but not the forward cabin, which is mine, so it's very, very warm. Mark's very pleased. He's managed to kill the final mosquito that has been chewing on his back leg and arm for the last couple of days, so he's just gone down for a little sleep, feeling quite pleased with himself that hopefully he won't get eaten in the next little sleep time he's going to have. I'm expecting this wind is not going to kick in until tomorrow, so I think it's going to be a fairly long, slow, boring motor. Had a fair amount of traffic though. Been quite a lot of shipping just buzzing around us. We've had to avoid a couple just to go around their sterns, just looking up on AIS just to see what the TCA and CPAs are, so we can avoid anything big. It's nice to give them kind of a mile wide berth. It gives plenty of space and breathing room, and if you kind of spot the boats that are going to be problematic early, then you don't have to do very much of a course adjustment at all. 5 degrees will quite often do it, and no one gets into hot water. I think I'm going to sign off now. I'm not sure if I'll do any updates overnight because it's dark, but hopefully it will be a nice quiet night, and we will catch up with you, the viewer, in the morning. If you do like this sort of content, don't forget you can give me a thumbs up, which is really appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Most of this channel is refit works, but I'm trying to get more sailing on it, whether it's sailing my own boats or on other people's. If you want to be a super awesome fan, you can help pay for a new microphone, which I dropped earlier and is now at the bottom of the Mediterranean. So there is a link down in the description below. It's a PayPal link, and sometimes people buy me a beer or 2 or 3 sometimes through that link, and it just helps to pay for new microphones. But at some point I really want to buy a new camera for filming this stuff, so if you want to be a super awesome fan, you can buy me a beer if you have done so already. Thank you very much. Right, it's going to be a good night from me. I'm just going to go for a little sleep. Jamie is going to be on watch as soon as he's finished making his coffee down there. I will see you in the morning. Welcome back. It's a beautiful morning here. The sun has risen. It came up about 6 o'clock this morning. Jamie is sleeping down there, so I probably shouldn't try and talk too loudly. Mark is currently holding my phone stand. It was a pretty quiet night, as you can probably hear. The engine is on. The engine has been on since Mark, what time has the engine been on since? Probably about 3-4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. There's just not been enough wind. Every now and again it kind of comes up just enough that it teases us into thinking we can pull the genoa out, but it's kind of like 4 knots, 5 knots breeze most of the time, and with this slight sea state it's just knocking the wind out of the main, so if we pull the genoa out it's just going to do the same. So unfortunately we have just been sat here motoring away with the main up, doing kind of 5.5 knots. There was a lot of shipping last night. We had to do quite a few course alterations around the commercial stuff. No other yachts, but it was nice and cool last night, so whilst it was difficult to sleep in the boat yesterday daytime, once it cooled down it was nice to catch up, and we're all reasonably well rested now. The boys have been doing a 4-on 4-off watch, so the boys meaning Mark and Jamie, and I've just been kind of floating as the skipper so that I could be up whenever they wanted me to be up. Generally speaking, I've been up on their watch change, so I've spent an hour with both of them on the watch change, but I've been getting a bit more sleep than perhaps they have, but it's been a bit more broken because I've been up and down much more regularly than they have, but that kind of works, and I'm on call 24 hours a day. That's the watch system that seems to work quite well in this situation where you've got 3 people, 2 crew, 1 skipper. So that suits everyone, and everyone gets a reasonable amount of sleep. Right, we're just going to have some breakfast and see what the day brings. I'm kind of hoping the wind is going to fill in a bit today, but at the moment we're just bimbling along 1500 RPM on the engine, not doing anything too stressful for the boat. It's just a little bit tedious, if I'm honest, although frankly I would rather be here than in the boatyard. So the sun is shining, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, the shirt is off, and it's just a lovely temperature. There we go. I'll just give you a quick 360. I should have got my camera out earlier and filmed the sunrise, which was rather lovely. but there is absolutely nothing around at the moment apart from lovely blue water and the main banging around a little bit. We've got a preventer on the main just to try and stop it from travelling too far, just tied to that block there and onto a strong point at the midpoint of the boat. And there we go, back to the front view yet again. Well, a little bit of breakfast has been eaten and the wind has just picked up enough that we can finally do a little bit of sailing, and it's pretty glorious actually. There's only about 7.5 knots of breeze and it's a little bit variable and the main is still flopping around a little bit, but we're able to do 5.5 or 5 to 5.5 knots in that, so we'll take that. It's nice to have the engine off, not have that constant buzzing in the background. So it's time just to relax and soak up the sun rays. Well, it has to be said, it is pretty bloody perfect now. It's about 9:30 in the morning. There's the instruments, you can see what we're doing. So we've got about 9 to 10 knots of breeze and we're doing nearly 7 knots over the ground. And it really is glorious today now. Just effortlessly cruising across the Med. Greece is that way. We are just under the toe of Italy, if that makes sense. The bottom of Italy is a football boot. And kind of the toe is just kind of up there to the north of us or northwest of us. So we're just cruising along. BEA beautifully. I need to take that courtesy flag down. That is Malta. I'm being slightly lazy. When we get closer to Greece, I'll swap it for the Greek flag, as formalities require. Everyone else is currently sleeping. I sent Mark down a little bit early. I said I'd cover a bit of his shift so he can get a bit of extra sleep in before it gets too hot down below. And I've just realised I've changed hats. This is my very, very old sailing hat. It's like a camo colour. It was very, very cheap. And as is always the case, the hats you really like, the more expensive ones, you lose over the side. So I bought a really, really cheap one. And I've had it years. Well, as you can see, the wind has picked up and we've not got one reef in, we've got 2 reefs into the main, so and a partially rolled Genoa. Wind picked up to about 14 knots or so early afternoon, so we stuck the first reef in because it's good to reef early, and then after we'd done that, the boat didn't really slow down because the wind continued increasing, so we stuck the second reef in. And we were still going a bit too fast and heeling over, so next we were on to a little bit less Genoa, which has reduced it all down and calmed everything down again. Just didn't want to heel the boat over too hard, didn't want things falling out of lockers and stuff like that, so we're going really nicely. Yet another lovely day. Boat is going superbly well. It's nice to have the engine off. We've had it off pretty much most of the day since kind of mid-morning, I guess. It's now 5:15 in the afternoon. Just thinking about the next watch change. Mark is going to be going off watch shortly. Jamie's going to be coming on, and we need to think about some food. It's 177 miles to go now. So we are very, very close to halfway. 175 will be halfway. Predicting to arrive early hours on Monday morning, I think. If we continue progressing like this, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this wind, to be honest. I suspect it's all going to die down to nothing again this evening. But we get what we get, and we will deal with it. So for now, it is nice to be shifting. And looking behind, it's nice to see the miles ticking away and the water rushing by. It is 7:30 at night, and I am just cooking dinner down there. We have some lovely chicken and a few peppers, and we're going to be very lazy and chuck a jar of chicken tikka masala sauce in and some rice. And there's complaints from up on deck because we have got into race mode because we've realised, I did a quick calculation earlier, we can get in on Sunday night if we keep the speed up at around 7 knots. So as the wind has moderated a little bit, we have been taking the reefs out and pushing the boat along, and we are cracking along at, what speed is it?
7.9.
7.9 knots, which is not bad. So what's that, heckling from the cheap seats? Someone else want to cook dinner? So we are cracking along. I'm cooking dinner at an angle, and the sun is going to be going down soon, but we want to get food in before it goes down, and all is well on the good ship. So I'm going to carry on cooking and try not to drop it on the floor. Definitely not a sailing master chef, but it is all coming together. Let's have a little peek outside. Now we've just scoffed our food, or at least I have. The sun has gone down. That is the residual daylight. Here are two boys that are hopefully suitably sustained with fresh curry.
Yep, fresh curry, beautiful, very nice. Compliments to the chef.
Compliments to the chef. Well, thank you very much. Here's some speeds and feeds. So we're currently on 7.2 with 12 knots of breeze, and I probably need to turn all the brightness down on all these things as the sun sets. So target speed, average of 7 knots if we can, and then we'll get in for about 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Should be very pleasing. Well folks, it's now Sunday, and I got very excited yesterday, probably a little bit too excited about how fast the progress we were making. Thought we'd make it into Preveza before sundown today, but as is often the case, the weather has had slightly different ideas. We probably could have made it if we had any other weather condition than what we've got now, which is wind directly on the nose. So the wind completely died overnight. We were motoring with virtually no wind. This morning we had a wonderful sunrise, and then the wind has slowly built to a reasonably pleasant, in terms of it being nice and cool, force 4 over the decks directly from Preveza to our locations. So we've had a bit of a rethink, and we have turned left slightly, having looked at the various different options, and we're going to be heading to an island called Paxos, where there is a little anchorage at the bottom end of Paxos where we can drop the hook for the night and actually get a bit of a taste of Greek island cruising for a night, and then tomorrow we will continue on to Preveza because Jamie has to fly back on Tuesday. Mark and I fly back on Wednesday. So that is the plan. So we're now motoring with the main because it's still a little bit too tight to sail, and we do kind of want to get there rather than beat up wind, which would take a very long time. We should just about get there before it gets too dark. I'm hoping. It is 58 miles to go to Paxos. We're doing 6.5 knots roughly, which is much better than the 5.25 we were doing when we were just pushing straight into the wind. Quick view of what I can see. We have full main up, which is giving us some drive forward, but it's just a bit too tight to have the Genoa out. I think we'd have to probably ease off another 10 degrees, which means more mileage. Jamie is there just topping up his tan a little bit, and nothing else around. We should start seeing a bit more shipping, I think, once we get closer to land. There is the odd vessel just starting to pop up on the AIS in the far distance now, but nothing on visual. So, should be another pleasant day cruising along on the Mediterranean. Now I know that this isn't probably the normal sort of videos that you get on Refit and Sail, but it is my intention to try and get a bit more sailing on the channel, whether it's cruising or racing or just bimbling around on other people's boats. That is the plan. It's going to be about the sailing and the passage making and the racing. So if that's your sort of thing, then do please hit the subscribe button that's down below, and give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this video. And if you're not enjoying this video, well, you can give me a thumbs up if you like anyway, or not. It's entirely up to you. I'm afraid I don't know the Greek national anthem to be able to sing it. Here we are, folks, very nearly there. Straight ahead up there, that is the island of Paxos, and to the right of it, down there in the sunlight, is, I think it's called Paxos, which I'm guessing means Little Paxos, and we are going to be spending the night just anchored around that corner there. There's a first very small inlet and a second one which we will be going in and anchoring in. I can't remember the name of it, but I will put it in the edit, hopefully, on the screen. And beyond you can see the mainland, the mountainous mainland of Greece, which is slightly misty, but very exciting to very nearly be here. And the boys have just cracked open the very first beer of the passage, and I will be opening my first beer as soon as we've got that anchor down and it's holding. Cheers, guys. We've come around the corner now. There's that first teeny tiny inlet. There's a boat in there, but the one we are going into is just up here. And amazingly, we look really close into the shore, but we're still in like 50 meters of water, so that is not a problem. And just like that, we are parked. And I'll give you a little look around the bay. There we go, that's the entrance we came in. Looking around to the right, we have a quay over there where you can do a little reverse park more in there, and there's a whole bunch of anchored boats. It's actually pretty busy in here. There's more boats in here than I was expecting. So, but we found a spot, and there's quite a few cruisers all in here, and through there is a taverna where I think we're going to try and get over there and grab some food. Well, that's us left Paxos behind, and Marky Boy is doing some steering. There he is. I think it's the first steering you've done of this trip, isn't it? I've got to be honest, I haven't done a lot of steering either. We have been very, very lazy and used the autopilot almost the whole way here from Malta, and it's proved to be totally reliable. I'm not a big fan of spending long periods of time at the helm. The autopilot generally does a better job, particularly once you start getting a bit tired and a bit bored of steering. So yeah, it was quite weird having pulled in here to suddenly have to do some steering, because hardly done any. We left the marina in Malta, came out the breakwater, and it's been on pilot the whole way. But anyway, we have left and we are now on our way to our final destination, which is Preveza. Hopefully that's how you pronounce it. Probably not, but I'm doing my best. And it's about 20 to 25 miles. There is not a lot of wind at the moment. It is showing 8 knots apparent, and we're doing 6 knots. So I think there's about 2 knots of actual breeze. So I'm not sure we're going to manage any sailing, but we will see. Maybe once we're out of the lee of Paxos and Paxos, we might find a bit of breeze kicks in, and we'll be able to get some sails up and do some actual sailing for our last little leg. Has to be said, that was the perfect little stopping point. I chucked the drone up and took some nice pictures, so hopefully you're seeing them on the screen at the moment. And this morning we woke up and jumped in the water and swam to the shore. Had a coffee in the taverna where we ate last night, and it was pretty perfect actually. Getting back to work and back to the boatyard is would be challenging if it wasn't for the fact that I actually do enjoy my job most of the time. So we'll be back in the real world of boatyards fairly soon. As you can see, it's pretty misty over the mainland here today. You can see kind of mountains in the background to varying degrees. But up ahead, about 3 miles away, I think, 2.5 miles away, we have the fairly narrow entrance channel that we need to take to get into Preveza. It's been a fairly dull motor with no sails up. There's been very, very little wind today, and what wind there is seems to be right on the nose again. Such is the life of the sailor, but it's only a fairly short motor, so 25 miles under engine is no great issue, other than it's just getting very, very warm down below. We've all had a little bit more of a catch-up sleep on the way over here today, because why not? And quite looking forward to getting in, getting tied up, maybe shower and more food. There she is, all tied up in Preveza Marina. So we have made it. I'm afraid I did not record the parking manoeuvre because frankly it's a little bit stressful parking someone else's boat, and it was a slightly tight spot to reverse all the way down into. I was about to thank my crew, but every time I hit the record button they keep making noises or inappropriate comments in the background, so they've shut up now. But the most important thing is obviously that we parked well, and actually genuinely I will thank them for coming along and being such awesome crew. Jamie and Mark are great mates, and it's really fun going sailing with them and having them on the boat as a trusted pair of hands. In case you're wondering, yes, it is very, very warm here. It's rather lovely, but I think it's time for us to offload all the rubbish, go and have a shower and do some beer drinking in a local taverna. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's a little bit off-piste for my normal content, refitting and repairing boats, but stay tuned because there will be more sailing, but there will also be more refit stuff, especially finishing off Lottie. especially because the owner of Lottie's been on board for the last few days, and we've been able to have a chat about all the bits and bobs. He's looking at me now from off camera. We've been able to chat about all the bits and bobs that need finishing off, and make some plans for some bits I need to buy, which you will get to see as a viewer of Refit and Sail. Remember, if you would like to help me out, you can give me a thumbs up, you can smash the subscribe button, and if you want to be a super awesome supporter of the channel, there is the PayPal link down in the description where you can buy me a beer, which I may even share with these crew a bit later. Thanks very much. See you next time. Bye for now. Has to be said, it's been a the most important thing, of course, is that we made it in safely, no issues at all with the boat. But the good news is we all parked up. Oh yes.